The summer Marcus Webb turned 34, he accepted the loneliest job in the state: fire lookout. Blackwood National Park, elevation 4,200 feet. 12 weeks, solo, no cell service past mile 3. His friends called him brave. His mother called him stupid. His ex-wife, she just stopped calling altogether. But Marcus called it peace. He drove up that gravel road on a Tuesday morning in late June, his truck loaded with coffee, canned soup, 3 paperback novels, and a photograph of his daughter Lily, 7 years old, gap-toothed, laughing in a yellow raincoat. He kept that photo tucked in the front pocket of his flannel shirt, close to his heart, always. "Daddy, are there bears up there?" she'd asked him the night before, gripping his hand at the dinner table. "Only the friendly kind," he'd lied with a grin. She'd made him promise to wave at her from the tower every night, said she'd look for his light from their kitchen window, even though they lived 200 miles away. "That's too far, Bug," he'd whispered. "Wave anyway," she'd said. The fire tower stood at the center of Blackwood like a splinter in a fist, iron-legged, glass-cabined, 72 steps straight up. It had been built in 1943 and had hosted 47 lookouts before Marcus. There was a logbook going back decades, names scrawled in careful handwriting, observations about weather, wildlife, the color of smoke on certain mornings. Most entries were mundane, responsible, professional. But the last entry before Marcus arrived, dated 3 years prior, had been left by a ranger named Dale Hutchins. It read, "The tower blinked at me last night. I know what I saw. I know what it means. I'm not finishing my rotation." Marcus read that entry once, laughed softly to himself, and closed the logbook. He put the kettle on. He watched the forest stretch endlessly below him, emerald, ancient, breathing. And for the first time in 2 years, he felt something close to okay. Creeping dread, the forest begins to watch. The first 2 weeks passed like a long exhale. Marcus settled into rhythm. Dawn patrol with binoculars, log entries at 600, 1200, 1800, dinner from a can, radio check with base camp, a woman named Carol who had a warm voice and never seemed to go home. He'd read until the light died, sleep by 9, wake before 5. Simple, clean, quiet. Too quiet, said the part of him that had lived long enough to be suspicious of peace. It started small, the way things always do. Night 14, he was scanning the tree line before bed, flashlight off, just watching the dark the way you do when you've been alone long enough to stop being afraid of it. The forest below was a black ocean, no moon, the kind of dark that has weight. And then, across the ridge, maybe 2 miles northeast, a light blinked. Once, twice, 3 times. Gone. Marcus pressed his face to the glass, his breath fogged the pain. Nothing. Just trees. Just dark. He picked up the radio. "Carol, you there? Any rangers doing night sweeps on Northeast Ridge?" A pause. Static. Then Carol's voice, strangely careful. "Negative, Marcus. Nobody's in that sector tonight. You seeing something?" "Probably just a hiker," he said. "Probably," she agreed. Neither of them sounded convinced. He wrote in the logbook, "Observed intermittent light source, Northeast Ridge, approximately 2200 hours. Likely hiker or equipment reflection. Monitoring." He didn't sleep well that night. He dreamed about Lily standing in the middle of the forest below, looking up at him, her small face pale and serious. "Daddy," Dream Lily said, "it's looking back at you." Night 17, the light again. Same direction, same 3-blink pattern. This time Marcus had his field binoculars ready. He pressed them to his eyes, adjusted the focus, held his breath. Through the lenses, across the black canopy, he saw it clearly now. Not a flashlight, not a lantern. A window, lit from within, orange warm. A perfect rectangle of light in the middle of nowhere, in a section of Blackwood that, according to every map Marcus had, contained nothing. No structure, no trail, no designation of any kind. Just wilderness. And in that window, he was almost certain, was a silhouette, standing still, watching him. Marcus lowered the binoculars, His hands were trembling. He hadn't noticed when that started. He looked down at the logbook and flipped back to Dale Hutchins's final entry. The tower blinked at me last night. Marcus wrote beneath it in his own hand. I see it now, Dale. I see it now.
Terrifying discovery. Something knows his daughter's name. He told himself it was a poacher's blind, an old abandoned structure swallowed by the canopy, invisible on outdated maps. He told himself this so firmly that he almost believed it. Almost. Day 21, Marcus hiked northeast. It took 3 hours through terrain that got progressively uglier. Ravines choked with deadfall, slopes slick with black moss, trees that grew in wrong directions, leaning away from the ridge like they were trying to leave. The compass behaved strangely past the second creek crossing. Not dramatically, just a slow, lazy drift, like something large and magnetic was buried nearby. Marcus kept moving. He found nothing. No structure, no clearing, no evidence of human presence. But the ground in one particular spot, a rough circle maybe 30 feet across, was different. The pine needles lay flat and gray, dead. Not decomposed, not burned, just dead, like they'd been pressed under something enormous. The trees at the circle's edge were scorched in thin vertical lines from root to crown, blackened seams running up the bark like claw marks from below. In the center of the circle, carved into the dirt with something sharp, were 2 words. Lily knows. Terrifying discovery. Something knows his daughter's name. Marcus stood there for a long time. The forest was completely silent. No bird song, no wind. Even the insects had gone somewhere else. His daughter's name. Out here in the middle of Blackwood National Park, 200 miles from where she slept in her yellow-curtained bedroom, her name was carved into dead earth that smelled faintly of ash. Marcus was not a man who cried easily. He'd learned to keep his grief and fear filed neatly away, like paperwork. But standing in that circle, in that impossible silence, he sat down on the dead ground and pressed his face into his hands. Not from fear, from the specific, hollow terror of a father who feels something closing around his child from a direction he can't defend. He radioed Carol from the trail. His voice was steady. He was proud of that. Carol, I need you to do something for me. I need you to contact Millbrook Elementary School and make sure my daughter shows up tomorrow. A long pause. Marcus, it's July. Schools are out. He closed his eyes. Then her mother's house. Can you? I'll make some calls, Carol said, and something in her voice told him she already understood this wasn't about a hiker or a poacher's blind anymore. Terrifying discovery. Something knows his daughter's name. That night, back in the tower, the light across the ridge didn't blink. It stayed on. Constant. Unwavering. That orange rectangle, 2 miles northeast, burning all night long. Marcus didn't sleep. He sat in his chair with his back to the wall and his binoculars in his lap, and he watched it until dawn swallowed it whole. And just before it disappeared into the gray morning light, the silhouette in the window raised one hand and waved. Slowly, deliberately, like it knew he was watching, like it had always known. Revelation and descent, the tower's true history. Carol came through. Lily was fine, sleeping, safe at her mother's house, completely unaware that her name had been written into cursed earth by something that didn't have hands. But Carol also sent something else. Took her 3 days to compile it. A list. 47 names. Every lookout who had ever served in the Blackwood Fire Tower. And next to each name, a date. Not the start and end of their rotation, but a single date. The date each of them had last been heard from. Marcus read it on a Thursday afternoon. The sun still high and warm, birds singing below him like everything was normal. 23 of the 47 lookouts had ended their rotations early, just packed up and left. No incident reports, no explanations on record. 11 had been transferred, reassigned, quietly moved along by supervisors who never documented why. 8 had suffered what the files called episodes of psychological disturbance, hospitalization in 2 cases. 4 were listed as missing. 1, a woman named Ruth Page, rotation summer 1979, had died in the tower, officially ruled heart failure. She was 26 years old. And at the bottom of the list, Carol had written a note in her careful handwriting. Marcus, I've been doing this job for 19 years. Every season the park assigns someone to that tower, and every season something goes wrong. I should have told you before you went up. I'm sorry. Please come down. Marcus set the paper down. He looked out at the forest, green and gold in the afternoon light, beautiful in the way that old, hungry things can be beautiful. He thought about the logbook, about Dale Hutchins's last words, about Ruth Page, 26 years old, alone in this glass room, her heart stopping. He thought about the carved words in the dead circle. Lily knows.
Revelation and Descent, the tower's true history. What did she know? What had it told her across 200 miles of distance, through whatever channel nightmares travel? He picked up the radio. Carol, I'm here. I'm not leaving. Silence. Marcus, it carved my daughter's name. If I run now, does it stop? Does it leave her alone? Or does leaving just mean it follows me home? The radio hissed. Carol didn't answer for a very long time. I don't know, she finally said. Her voice was very small. Neither do I, said Marcus, so I'm staying. He opened the logbook to a fresh page and wrote his name at the top. Marcus Webb, day 21, still here, not finished yet. The truth surfaces, horrifying and ancient. Night 26. The light blinked again. 1, 2, 3. But this time, Marcus was ready. He blinked back. He stood at the tower's east-facing window, flashlight in hand, and he matched it. 1, 2, 3. The forest went absolutely still. Then the light across the ridge blinked 4 times. Marcus blinked back 4 times. 5 times. He returned 5. And then, nothing. A pause so long he thought the exchange was over. Then the light across the ridge began to pulse in a rapid, complex sequence. Not random, rhythmic, structured, like language. Marcus grabbed a pen and started marking it down on the back of Carol's list, dots and dashes from instinct. He wasn't a codebreaker, he wasn't trained in signals. But somewhere in the pattern, repeating, insistent, was a grouping he kept circling. 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. SOS. Whatever was in that window, whatever stood in that lit room 2 miles northeast, in a structure that didn't exist on any map, was asking for help. Marcus sat with that for a long time. He thought about all the ways horror stories go wrong because someone decides to help. He thought about Lily. He thought about Ruth Page, 26, dead of a stopped heart. He thought about the word Lily knows carved into dead ground. And then, God help him, he thought about what kind of thing sends an SOS in the dark, and whether something truly evil would ever ask to be saved. He didn't hike out that night, but he didn't sleep either. He sat at the window until 3 a.m.,